From the sultry voices that defined generations to the heartbreak behind the music, some of the greatest black R&B legends left us too soon, consumed by the bottle. Tonight, we dive into the lives of 17 iconic artists whose immense talent couldn't shield them from the struggles of addiction. 1. Bessie Smith was a woman whose voice could shake the soul. Born in 1894 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, she rose from the shadows of poverty to become one of the most powerful and influential artists of her time. Known as the Empress of the Blues, Bessie didn't just sing. She told stories that captured the struggles and spirit of an entire generation. Her breakout hit Downhearted Blues turned her into a star, and through her boldness and emotion, she redefined what it meant to be a black woman in music during an era of deep racial and social barriers. Her performances were more than entertainment. They were experiences. Bessie's voice carried heartbreak, laughter, and truth, resonating with anyone who had ever loved and lost. On stage, she was fearless and commanding, a woman who refused to be silenced or tamed by the world around her. Off stage, she battled personal demons, finding solace in the same music that made her famous. In 1937, tragedy struck when Bessie was injured in a car accident in Mississippi. Complications from her wounds, worsened by years of heavy drinking and liver damage, claimed her life at only 43. The world mourned, but her influence never faded. Even today, her music stands as a symbol of power, resilience, and the beauty that can rise from pain. The timeless song of a woman who refused to be forgotten. 2.
If I mean anything to you, now, baby.
Billie Holiday was a sound of heartbreak wrapped in velvet. Born in 1915, she rose from a childhood filled with pain and poverty to become one of the most hauntingly beautiful voices in jazz history. Her interpretations of songs like Strange Fruit cut deep, blending sorrow and defiance into a cry against the cruelty of the world. With every word she sang, Billie laid bare her soul, fragile, defiant, and unforgettable. Her phrasing was unlike anyone else's, turning each song into a story only she could tell. Behind her mesmerizing voice, however, was a life marked by struggle. She endured racism, exploitation, and the torment of addiction, yet somehow transformed her suffering into art that transcended time. On stage, she seemed untouchable, elegant, tragic, and real, but off stage, the toll of fame and heartbreak grew heavier with every passing year. Her music was her refuge and her undoing, a gift that cost her everything. By 1959, her body could no longer bear the years of pain and dependency. Alcohol-induced cirrhosis ravaged her liver, and her heart began to fail. Billie Holiday died at just 44, handcuffed to a hospital bed, with only a few dollars to her name. Still, her voice never died. It lingers in smoky rooms, in whispered melodies, and in the hearts of those who still feel every ache and beauty she left behind. 3. Clyde McPhatter's voice was a rare gift, smooth, soaring, and filled with the kind of emotion that could make even the hardest hearts tremble. Born in 1932, he became one of the early architects of rhythm and blues, blending gospel fervor with pop charm. As the original lead singer of the Drifters, his hits like Money Honey electrified audiences and helped lay the foundation for what would become soul music. When he went solo, his sound only deepened, earning him praise as one of the most expressive voices of his generation. But behind the applause was a man haunted by loneliness and self-doubt. Fame came early, yet it never brought him peace. The pressures of the industry and his struggles with identity drove him toward alcohol, a companion that slowly consumed the brilliance that once lit up his songs. While his voice inspired countless young artists, Clyde himself was fading, trapped in a cycle of brilliance and heartbreak that mirrored the blues he often sang. By 1972, his body could no longer endure the years of abuse. Esophageal cancer and organ failure claimed his life at just 39, a painfully early end for a man who had once been a musical beacon. Still, Clyde McPhatter's influence echoes in every R&B and soul note that came after him, a voice gone too soon, but never truly silenced. For
to dance with my father again.
Luther Vandross was a voice that seemed to come from the very heart of love itself. Born in 1951, he rose from Brooklyn streets to become one of the most celebrated soul and R&B singers of his generation. With hits like Never Too Much and Here and Now, Luther's velvety vocals and impeccable phrasing made every love song feel personal, as if he were singing directly to you. His ability to convey tenderness, longing, and joy in the simplest notes earned him countless accolades and a place in the hearts of millions. Behind the music, however, life was not always easy. Years of relentless touring, the pressures of fame, and struggles with health weighed heavily on him. Despite these challenges, Luther remained dedicated to his craft, pouring his emotions into every performance. His presence on stage was magnetic, his voice commanding yet gentle, a rare combination that left audiences spellbound and inspired countless future artists. Luther Vandross passed away in 2005 from complications related to a stroke and long-standing health issues, including heart disease. Though he was only 51, his music continues to live on, timeless and tender. Every note, every whisper of his songs remains a testament to a man who gave his soul fully to the world, proving that love, expressed with sincerity and passion, can transcend even the briefest of lifetimes. 5.
Holding on a list.
Keith Whitley was a voice that carried the weight of heartache with tender, soulful clarity. Born in 1954 in Kentucky, he brought a unique blend of country storytelling and R&B emotion to every song he sang. Hits like When You Say Nothing at All showcased his ability to convey deep love and longing with a simplicity that felt profoundly personal. Whitley's voice could make listeners laugh, cry, and remember, all within the span of a single verse, capturing the essence of life's joys and sorrows in his smooth, emotive tones. Despite his musical gifts, Keith's life was shadowed by inner struggles. The pressures of fame, personal loss, and the temptations of the road drew him toward alcohol, a companion that offered temporary escape but ultimately proved destructive. Friends and fans witnessed his talent flourish even as his health quietly deteriorated, a tragic contrast between the vibrant music he created and the fragility of his own life. In 1989, at just 34, Keith Whitley died from acute alcohol poisoning, with a blood alcohol level recorded at 0.477, a staggering and heartbreaking end to a life filled with both brilliance and pain. Yet his music endures, echoing in the hearts of country and soul lovers alike. Every note he sang remains a reminder of the beauty he brought to the world, and of a life lived intensely, if far too briefly. 6.
I don't understand it, but I know it's gonna.
David Ruffin was a voice that could ignite a crowd and pierce the heart at the same time. Born in 1941, he rose to fame as the unforgettable lead singer of The Temptations, delivering iconic performances on hits like My Girl, with a combination of grit, soul, and undeniable charm. His voice carried a raw emotional power that made every lyric feel lived in. And when he stepped out as a solo artist, his music only deepened, blending vulnerability and swagger in a way that few could match. David wasn't just performing songs. He was living them, giving audiences a piece of his soul with every note. Yet behind the star power was a life of struggle. Years of fame, personal conflicts, and the pressures of the music industry weighed heavily on him. And he turned to alcohol and drugs for escape. The lifestyle that helped fuel his artistry also slowly chipped away at his health, leaving him vulnerable and battling demons that no audience applause could heal. His voice, though powerful, was intertwined with a life of hardship that mirrored the emotional depth of his music. In 1991, David Ruffin passed away from a cocaine overdose, though an autopsy revealed severe liver cirrhosis from long-term alcoholism as a major contributing factor. He was just 49, leaving a legacy of soul that continues to resonate decades later. His music endures as a testament to a man who sang with unmatched passion, reminding the world that greatness often comes wrapped in both beauty and struggle. 7.
Like it's hurt me before.
Paul Williams was a foundational voice in the world of soul and R&B, a man whose talent shaped the very sound of The Temptations. Born in 1939, he brought a rich baritone to the group, grounding their harmonies with warmth and depth. Beyond his singing, Paul was a gifted songwriter, co-creating classics like Don't Look Back that captured the spirit and emotion of the era. His presence on stage was magnetic, blending charisma with a sincerity that made every performance feel intimate and unforgettable. Yet behind the smooth melodies and captivating performances lay a life of quiet struggle. Paul battled severe depression, a shadow that was only deepened by years of alcohol addiction and the harrowing effects of withdrawal. The pressures of fame and the relentless demands of the music industry weighed heavily on him. And despite his successes, he wrestled with inner turmoil that few could see. His brilliance on stage often masked the pain he carried offstage, a tragic contrast that would follow him throughout his life. In 1973, at just 34, Paul Williams took his own life, succumbing to the weight of his depression amid his battle with alcohol. His passing shocked the music world, but his legacy remains undimmed. Through his voice and songwriting, Paul continues to live on, a reminder of both the extraordinary talent he shared and the fragility of the human spirit behind the music. 8. Little Willie John was a trailblazer whose voice left an indelible mark on R&B and soul music. Born in 1937, he rose to fame with hits like Fever and All Around the World, songs that showcase his ability to blend raw emotion with irresistible rhythm. His performances were electrifying, full of energy and a charisma that drew listeners in and refused to let go. Willie's talent wasn't just in his singing. It was in the way he made every note feel personal, as if he were telling the story of life, love, and longing directly to each listener. Behind the glamour of the stage, however, his life was filled with turbulence. Struggles with the law and personal demons shadowed his career, and his heavy drinking became a constant companion, offering fleeting comfort but causing lasting damage. Even as he captivated audiences with his voice, the toll of addiction and the harsh realities of imprisonment quietly eroded his health, a tragic undercurrent to the music that so many adored. In 1968, Little Willie John passed away from pneumonia, a condition worsened by cirrhosis brought on by years of heavy drinking during his time in prison. He was just 31, leaving the world mourning a voice that had burned brightly and vanished far too soon. Yet his songs remain timeless testaments to his talent and the enduring power of a soul poured into music, leaving listeners with the echo of a brilliance that could never truly be silenced. 9. Jesse Belvin was a gifted voice whose smooth delivery helped shape the early sound of R&B and doo-wop. Born in 1932, he captured audiences with hits like Guess Who, a song that showcases effortless charm and melodic precision. Jesse's music bridged racial and cultural divides, making him an early influence on the crossover success of black artists in mainstream pop. His performances were filled with warmth and subtle emotion, drawing listeners into a world where love, longing, and melody intertwined seamlessly. Despite his rising stardom, Jesse's life was not without struggle. Like many young artists navigating the pressures of fame, he faced personal challenges, including battles with alcohol. While his voice conveyed smoothness and control, offstage he sometimes wrestled with choices that put him at risk, a stark contrast to the effortless perfection he displayed in the studio and on stage. His talent hinted at a career that could have reached even greater heights, but life's fragility loomed in the background. In 1960, at just 27, Jesse Belvin died from injuries sustained in a car crash, with acute alcohol intoxication worsening the tragedy. His death was a heartbreaking loss to the music world, cutting short a promising career. Yet his influence endures, his recordings still echoing the sophistication, emotion, and promise of a voice that helped lay the foundation for generations of R&B and soul artists to come. 10. Arthur Prysock was a voice that could wrap around a listener like a warm, late-night embrace. Born in 1924, he became renowned for his deep, velvety baritone, delivering R&B and jazz ballads with smoothness that felt effortless yet profoundly emotional. Songs like I Worry About You showcase his ability to convey love, longing, and melancholy in a way that few singers could match. Prysock's performances were intimate and commanding at once, leaving audiences both comforted and captivated by the richness of his tone and the sincerity behind every word. Behind the music, Arthur's life was marked by the quiet struggles that often accompany creative brilliance. Years of performing, touring, and the pressures of maintaining a public persona took their toll, and alcohol became a recurring companion. While it may have offered temporary relief, it slowly undermined the very heart that fueled his artistry, a hidden battle behind the warmth of his voice. In 1997, Arthur Prysock passed away from heart failure due to alcohol-related cardiomyopathy. He was 73, leaving behind a legacy defined by the depth and intimacy of his singing. Even now, his recordings continue to resonate, reminding listeners of a voice that could soothe, move, and linger long after the final note, a testament to the enduring power of talent touched by human vulnerability. 11. Johnny Ace was a voice that defined a moment in post-war R&B, capturing hearts with a tenderness that felt both immediate and timeless. Born in 1929, he became a sensation with hits like My Song, where his smooth, emotive delivery brought stories of love and longing vividly to life. Johnny's style bridged the gap between blues and the emerging rhythm and blues movement, helping to shape a sound that would influence countless artists who followed. His music carried an honesty and vulnerability that made every note feel personal, as if he were singing directly to each listener's heart. Yet behind the charm and rising fame, Johnny's life was touched by recklessness and the hidden dangers of youthful indulgence. The pressures of the music industry, long hours on the road, and the temptations of alcohol accompanied his ascent, creating an undercurrent of risk that would tragically catch up with him. Despite his talent and charisma, he could not escape the peril that sometimes shadows brilliance at such an early age. In 1954, just 25, Johnny Ace died from an accidental self-inflicted gunshot while intoxicated, a heartbreaking end to a promising career. Though his time was brief, his influence endures, and his recordings continue to echo with the vulnerability, passion, and soulful beauty that made him a defining figure in the post-war blues revival. His voice remains a reminder of what was lost too soon, yet still cherished across generations. 12. Wyman E. Harris was a dynamo of energy and raw talent, a performer whose voice and presence could ignite any room. Born in 1915, he became a defining figure in jump blues, earning the nickname Mr. Blues for his electrifying performances and charismatic stage persona. Hits like Good Rockin' Tonight showcase his ability to blend rhythm, humor, and soul, laying the groundwork for the rock and roll explosion that would follow. Harris didn't just sing. He shouted, laughed, and moved with vitality that made audiences feel every beat and every word. Behind the excitement of the stage, however, Wine and he struggled with the darker sides of fame and life on the road. Chronic alcoholism became a constant companion, offering fleeting relief but slowly undermining the very vitality that made him so magnetic. Despite his fame and influence, the toll of addiction weighed heavily on his health, a stark contrast to the energy and joy he radiated during performances. In 1969, Wine E. Harris passed away from liver and heart disease caused by years of heavy drinking. He was 54, leaving a legacy of music that pulsed with life, grit, and joy. His recordings continue to inspire, a testament to a man who poured every ounce of himself into his art, proving that the spirit of the blues can endure long after the performer has gone. 13. Tommy Tucker was a vibrant force in 1950s R&B, a bandleader and singer whose music brought rhythm, joy, and energy to every stage he graced. Born in 1927, he captured audiences with his hit Hey La, Hey La, a song that embodied the playful, infectious spirit of the era. Tucker's performances were lively and engaging, blending strong vocals with dynamic arrangements that made listeners move, smile, and feel the pulse of the music. His charisma and talent made him a standout figure in the R&B scene, leaving an impression that lingered long after the music stopped. Behind the lively music and energetic shows, however, Tommy's life was shadowed by personal struggles. Years in the spotlight, the pressures of leading a band and the temptations of nightlife took their toll, and alcohol became a persistent companion. While it may have eased the stresses of performing, it gradually eroded his health, quietly undermining the vitality that had defined his career. In 1982, Tommy Tucker passed away from alcohol-induced liver failure. He was 55, leaving behind a legacy of music that captured the joy, rhythm, and heart of his time. His recordings continue to remind listeners of a performer who gave everything to his art, blending talent and spirit in a way that few could forget. 14. Screamin' Jay Hawkins was a one-of-a-kind performer whose voice and presence could shock, thrill, and mesmerize all at once. Born in 1929, He became legendary for his theatrical style and powerful, growling vocals, most famously showcased in his hit, I Put a Spell on You. Hawkins didn't just sing. He created an experience, blending music, drama, and dark humor into performances that were unforgettable and boundary-pushing. His larger-than-life persona made him a pioneer in R&B and a precursor to the wild showmanship that would later define rock and roll. Behind the spectacle, however, was a man wrestling with the pressures of fame and the temptations of excess. Long-term alcohol abuse, combined with hypertension, took a steady toll on his health even as his creativity and eccentricity thrived on stage. The same intensity that electrified audiences also carried hidden costs, as Hawkins struggled to balance his artistic brilliance with the realities of his body and lifestyle. In 2000, Screamin' Jay Hawkins passed away from a heart attack linked to his years of alcohol abuse and hypertension. He was 71, leaving behind a legacy of unforgettable music and performances that continue to influence artists across genres. His voice, his theatrics, and his fearless approach to performance remain a testament to a man who lived boldly, entertained fiercely, and left a permanent mark on the world of music. 15. John Lee Hooker was the embodiment of the blues, a man whose voice and guitar carried the raw, earthy soul of the Delta. Born in 1917, he rose to fame with songs like Boom Boom, crafting a sound that was both hypnotic and deeply human. Hooker's style was unmistakable, a rhythmic, hypnotic groove paired with a voice that could be tender, menacing, or mournful all at once. His music captured the struggles, desires, and resilience of life, connecting with listeners on a level that transcended words and crossed generations. Despite his towering talent and international acclaim, John Lee Hooker's life was not without personal battles. Years of performing, traveling, and the pressures of fame were compounded by long-term alcohol use, which gradually took a toll on his body. The intensity that fueled his music also carried hidden dangers, and while audiences celebrated his electrifying performances, his health quietly suffered in the background. In 2001, at the age of 84, John Lee Hooker passed away from a heart attack secondary to alcohol-related cardiovascular damage. His passing marked the end of an era, but his music continues to live on, timeless and powerful. Every riff, every growl, every plaintive note remains a testament to a man who poured his life and all its pain, beauty, and spirit into the blues, leaving a legacy that will never fade. 16.
I'd buy the whole world and have money to spare, yeah.
Albert Collins was a blues titan whose guitar work could send shivers down the spine and set hearts racing. Born in 1932, he earned the nickname the Iceman for his icy, stinging guitar tone and his cool, commanding stage presence. Collins was a master of his craft, blending technical brilliance with raw emotion, and his Grammy-winning instrumentals showcase a virtuosity that few could rival. Every note he played carried a punch, a story, and a soulfulness that made audiences sit up, listen, and feel the music deep in their bones. Behind the acclaim and electrifying performances, Collins faced a quiet toll of personal habits that slowly chipped away at his health. Years of touring, performing, and life on the road were compounded by chronic alcohol use, which weakened his immune system and made his body more vulnerable to illness. The same intensity and passion that fueled his artistry also carried hidden costs, a reminder of the human fragility behind extraordinary talent. In 1993, Albert Collins passed away from lung cancer, a condition accelerated by the effects of chronic alcohol use. He was 61, leaving behind a legacy of music that continues to inspire guitarists and blues lovers worldwide. His riffs, his tone, and his unmistakable presence endure as a testament to a man who poured everything into his art, proving that the power of music can outlast even the briefest of lifetimes. 17.
And you know you're doing wrong yourself.
Magic Slim, born Morris Holt in 1937, was a force of nature in the world of Chicago blues. His raw, gritty sound and commanding presence as a bandleader brought a unique intensity to every performance, blending soul, rhythm, and blues into a style that was unmistakably his own. Hits like those from his celebrated recordings captured the heart of urban blues, resonating with authenticity and passion that drew fans from all walks of life. Magic Slim's guitar work and gravelly vocals weren't just music. They were an experience, a direct line to the soul of the blues. Yet behind the electrifying performances was a life shaped by the toll of decades on the road and personal habits that took their hidden cost. Years of heavy smoking and alcohol use gradually weakened his body, even as his music retained its power and vitality. The same intensity that gave his music its edge also shadowed his health. A reminder that even giants of stage are vulnerable to the frailties of life. In 2013, Magic Slim passed away from lung cancer, a condition worsened by years of smoking and alcohol consumption. He was 76, leaving behind a legacy that continues to define Chicago blues and inspire generations of musicians. His music endures as a testament to his talent, grit, and the soul he poured into every note, proving that the spirit of the blues can outlive the man who played it.